We're seeing some warm conditions for the middle of the week, but also tracking thunderstorms, especially for this year and our weekend showers. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods breaking down the shift in our weather pattern. Kind of a roller coaster here over the next couple of days. So let's get right to it as we continue to track some developing weather. Our headlines include mostly clear skies for tonight, 80s again for tomorrow, but looking ahead, some fog, cooling temperatures, even the chance for weekend showers. Today, we're tracking areas of showers and thunderstorms straight up and down the Sierra Spine. In fact, we've seen some isolated areas that will be dealing with more of some impactful thunderstorms, a little bit of hail, as well as some brief heavy rain and frequent lightning. So again, this is all part of a bigger weather pattern developing across the west. We've got two kind of competing low pressure systems, one in the Intermountain West, another one just off the Southern California coast. But for the valley, we remain dry and warm because of that high pressure ridge, giving us some stability as well as sinking warming air. Tomorrow, we return back to the chance for thunderstorms, mainly throughout the foothills and the Sierra. This will generally kind of overextend into the valley. We're not expecting much in the way of convection for the valley. We'll keep an eye on it, but right now it looks like the best chance in the foothills and the Sierra, and we'll see that again for our Friday forecast. So certainly some active weather developing for Northern California. Wednesday afternoon, evening, we'll see some of those thunderstorms die down during the overnight hours, only to reappear again for our Thursday forecast. Now, it looks like the better chance will be just south of Highway 50, but something to watch, especially with some of those low pressure systems moving through the west. Friday, we have the possibility of seeing some low-lying cloudiness. That's because of that onshore push here coming into our forecast to wrap us up for the work and school week. So a little bit of fog there to deal with for the morning commute, and then the skies will start to clear. You'll notice those thunderstorms reappearing, though, for our Friday afternoon forecast before more clouds, more widespread chances for showers appear. So again, the weather headlines for the weekend changes include much cooler weather as well as rain and snow making a reappearance, unfortunately, for the weekend. We'll keep these extended weather forecasts going on ABC 10 Plus. If you haven't already, make sure to download that for free wherever you stream on TV. We've got explainers as well as weather and climate specials. A look at how we're going to see that transition from the warmer to cooler air. You can see the warmer air in place throughout much of the valley, deep through the work week, and then all of a sudden a blast of cooler air comes in, not only for Northern California, but extending through Southern California as well. This holds tight through Sunday before we start to see some more moderating temperatures heading our way Monday into next week. A nice little pulse of moisture coming through as well. The Pacific showing that line of moisture pressing our way into our Saturday, even our Sunday forecast. We're going to time it out here. I know this is happening again on the weekends. Last year, we actually had a lot of those weekends, over half during the winter and early spring that were wet. This year, a little bit behind that, but it looks like we may add to that percentage coming into this weekend. Not a whole lot of measurable rain through the month of April. It was just kind of unfortunate we ended that last weekend of April on a rainy note. We've only had about 1/4 inch of rain for downtown Sacramento. We average close to about 1.5 inches. So we're starting to chip away at the opportunity of rain coming in. Water year so far, not terrible. It's just we hit that dry January, and that put some big deficits through most of the state. March ended up on a drier note as well as April. February, obviously big player there, as well as December, even November, off to a great start for the water year, which, by the way, starts October 1st of last year, will run through September 30th of this year. That is the water year for California. Our average precipitation, as I mentioned, really starting to drop off here heading into May, as well as June, July, and August. I mean, if we get 1/10 inch of rain in July, that is major headlines here in California. It's just because we just see that Mediterranean climate. We have a wet season, a dry season, so we're about into that dry season. So when is the last rainy day? We're just looking at some of these averages here. Last year it was May 4th, the year prior May 6th. So we're right on the cusp of really seeing that, given that today is the last day of April. And then back in 2022, we extended that last rainy day all the way into June, but the year prior it was March. Generally speaking, May is right about the time we see that water hose shut down across the Pacific. Statewide precipitation, here's a look at the sheer numbers since October 1st. And when we look at the deficits, as I mentioned, we were off to a great start in November, and it really stayed quite favorable for extreme northern California, but central and southern California saw those deficits grow. Mainly the contributing month was going to be January. That's what really put these deficits into play, and we just weren't able to catch up enough through the month of February, March, and April. Statewide Water Project, though, saying that they're going to be able to increase the allocations for all the providers to 50%. That's up from 40% last month, largely due to the snowpack being near 100% for the season. We had above average reservoir levels even as of late into January, February, March. Reservoir levels really remained quite healthy there, and Oroville could reach capacity for the third straight year. That could also help add a cushion into next year if we end up on a drier note as well. So here's a look at Lake Oroville, and you can see the average shaded in blue, whereas here's the blue line showing where we are currently, and we're getting awfully close to that capacity here. So nice numbers there going for Lake Oroville, which is our second largest reservoir in the state. Major reservoir supply levels, these are the latest numbers provided by the Department of Water Resources. Everything running about 90 to almost 97% full, well above average numbers. Again, that is mainly due to some great conservation as well as some flexibility that water managers have been able to have due to improved forecasting, as well as some different rules that were put into place. How much could they hold when it looked like there were going to be some big storms coming, and the release capacity downstream from some of these reservoirs. San Luis, one of the big players here once we get to this point in the season, 84% capacity, 101% of average. The reason why I say that's a big player is because that will send water into the California aqueduct, which will then move all the way down into Southern California, providing a very parched situation of Southern California with some water this dry season. High pressure ridge is generally overhead, keeping the valley dry for the short-term forecast. There's that low moving inland through Southern California, and we'll see some more convection here Thursday and Friday for the Sierra. Then we start to track this bigger low. It's more organized, gives us not only a cool blast of air, but a chance of showers for our Saturday and Sunday forecast. It looks like we're going to hang on to at least the slight chance of a light shower in the morning before things start to wind down. Now, the caveat with this one is it's a little bit warmer than last weekend's storm, so snow level will fluctuate between about 6,000 and 7,000 feet. Still below the passes for much of the event, but overall, just not a huge wide impact storm for us moving into the weekend. Model rainfall forecast only totaling out about 1/10 of an inch for many locations in the valley. Some of us won't even get measurable rain from this particular storm. And for the Sierra, looking pretty slim in terms of snowpack, anywhere from 1 to 2+ inches of snow. Last weekend, though, we saw about 1 foot of snow. So just to give you a comparison of what things are looking like compared to this past weekend. 8 to 14-day climate outlook. We're starting to edge towards a likely warmer scenario. The likely wetter scenario starting to shift ever so slightly to the north and east of the state. Still a lot to watch with that, though. Short-term forecast, we're still warm for tomorrow. Highs in the 60s for our Thursday, 70s and 80s through the foothills, with highs along the coast in the 50s and 60s. But once we head inland, we're into the 70s and 80s. As far as morning lows, we're pretty comfortable, right around 50. Highs will warm into the 80s, almost 90 for some of those locations that are absent from that nice onshore flow. So Yuba City, Colusa, getting up to about 90 for our Thursday. Then we start that downward trend. We call for that chance of thunderstorms for the Sierra through Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we'll be tracking the chance for rain mixed with snow. Chance of showers develops for the foothills as well. We're out of the upper 70s and into the low 60s for the first weekend of May. For the coast, a mix of sun and clouds, and we'll track the chance for showers, but it looks like it's mostly hugging the east side of the state. 3-day forecast, we hit those highs in the mid-80s on Thursday, into the 60s on Saturday, with a slight chance for showers lingering through very early on Sunday, and then we dry things out, warm things up for the first full week of May.